Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks again for joining myself, Hector Aguilar of Aguilar Realty Group, together with Ben of Aguilar Realty Group.
Hey, everyone.
How's it going? And
Good,
today
good.
we have a special guest, Robert Chavez from Powur Solar. Hi, Robert. Thanks for joining us today. I
Thank you.
appreciate you taking some time.
Thank you for inviting me in. Excited
No,
about
no
it.
problem. I think solar is obviously a topic that is on everyone's mind in terms of, if you're an owner of a home and, with new construction now, it's mandated that they have solar.
Yep.
Everyone's thinking about clean
Yeah.
energy
Right.
and going green. So we really look forward to asking a little bit about or learning more a little bit about, I should say, about solar
Mhm.
programs, where is solar going, maybe some important coming soon changes to solar.
Right. Yep.
So, Robert, tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience with solar.
Yeah. Well, I was in real estate for a good part of the last 20, 30 years off and on. And then I've always had a passion for the environment. I do a lot of trash pickup things with the area, saving the marine mammals and big environmental stuff. And about 3 years ago, I started seeing how solar had improved the panels and the efficiency and stuff. And I thought it was time to kind of get in. Very attracted also to just coming into a situation where all I'm doing is helping somebody reduce a cost versus selling them something new and saying, hey,
Sure.
here's a cheaper way to save money on your house. So that
Sure.
is kind of a cool
Yeah.
thing there. Tax incentives and things like this.
Mhm.
And so I've looked around at a couple of different companies, and Powur came out. And ironically enough, they even use EXP as a model that they say we decided to do to the solar industry what EXP did to Realty and what Uber did to the travel industry. We actually use it in our
Fantastic.
presentations.
Wonderful. It's good to hear that.
So yeah, so the platform's there, and we were already doing virtual presentations before COVID-19 hit.
Gotcha.
So it came out great. Says you can't go door knocking, you can't go in someone's house. So get on the phone, do the Zoom call, and we've had huge growth since then. Fastest growing solar company in the United States, and we're in 19 states, including the nice ones such as California, Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, Texas, a lot of the sunshine states, Utah, that stuff like that. So that's kind of
Okay.
been, and I'm really excited about what we do as far as warranties and new things like this that we're offering to the consumers. So that's kind of my background. And also a proud U.S. Army veteran.
Hey, thank you for serving. We really
And
appreciate that.
yeah, so I'm just excited about being in an industry that helps the planet and helps homeowners save money. Right now, everybody's talking about inflation. This is going up. This is going up. There's one thing that you can take that actually is lower,
Right.
and that's
it's
energy.
solar.
It's
Definitely
solar. Not only does it lower it, but the best part, it stays fixed for the next 15, 20 years.
Right
Very
on.
few commodities out there you can say that about.
So let's go ahead and talk about a little
Sure.
bit about solar. I think there's some negative connotations that people associate solar with,
Mhm.
specifically with like PACE programs and HERO programs. A lot of people say, well, they're not good programs. They are good programs. There's liens in the property. Tell us a little bit about the PACE and HERO, how it affects people's taxes.
Yeah.
Are they good programs? Are they bad programs? You're the expert. Tell us about that.
Well, luckily, when I got in, I was told that the previous years in solar were called the Wild, Wild West. And a lot of things were happening that weren't monitored very well. A lot of door knocking, people that weren't licensed. The solar industry has cleaned up itself quite a bit. For example, the only person that can talk to somebody with financial terms has to have a license now in California. Not
I
all
see.
states require this, but California does. It's called an HIS license, Home Improvement
Okay.
Salesperson License. And they do a background check and things like this. And so a lot of the riffraff that was in before didn't quite make it to the HIS level. So we've cleaned that up quite a bit.
Okay.
The other part of that I heard that you talked about is these PACE programs and HERO programs where they're tied into the taxes. And those were sort of sold on a wild, wild west side. People were just telling people, don't worry about the bill. And a lot of people were surprised when they got a tax hit that it was all
Mhm.
embedded on their taxes.
So
Our
let me
company
give you an
Powur doesn't.
example.
Yeah, you go ahead, please.
Yeah, let me give you an example of how many people we've helped kind of refinance and pay off their PACE program and their HERO programs. And most of these programs were sold like, hey, zero down, zero cost, no monthly payment. It's never going to cost you anything. And then all of a sudden, the year comes up and we're getting phone calls from our clients like, hey, I thought our interest rate was fixed.
Mhm.
And hey, I thought that the payment wasn't going to change.
Mhm.
And so we start digging in a little bit, doing a little bit of research, and we start finding out that they've added on AC, or they've added on solar, or they've added some home improvements through the PACE or HERO program that, sounds amazing because there's no payment, but guess what? They're getting paid through their taxes.
It's
And I
right.
don't know what the percentage of increase in taxes are, but I've seen it as high as 3 times what they're paying in taxes
Yeah.
before they got the program.
Yes. Yeah.
So of course, a lot of people were deceived and using those programs. Yeah, it seemed like a blessing. It seemed like a good opportunity to get something done in terms of getting upgrades, solar, AC, things of that nature. But in the long run, they're paying for it 20, 30 years down the road.
Yep.
And if their taxes are going up 3 times, typically what happens is they're going to pay for that product or that service or that upgrade.
Right.
Probably 10 or 15 fold more than they would have paid if they would have just paid it cash, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of bring that up because I know a lot of people have called us and we've refinanced them. We pulled some equity out, paid off that debt, what could have been 30, 40, 50 grand.
Right.
And over time saved them hundreds of thousands of dollars when it comes to those taxes. So
yeah, exactly.
that's what I was asking you about the PACE and HERO
Powur, the company, we don't even offer those programs. We feel it's too specialized, too niche product. And luckily for the people that do sell that, the only people that can actually talk to the homeowners now are people within the PACE program that say, look, you have a monthly payment, but it comes on your tax bill. So they do advise them to put a monthly payment in the checking account every month, and every 6 months that goes to the taxes. But we don't even do those because it's a pretty much of a specialty niche, and it did kind of mess up some of the reputation with solar. We just we'll go to the programs that we do as far as cash financing and PPAs as we go on. Okay.
Fantastic. So Ben, what's our next topic in terms of what we want to discuss here?
So the next one is if you can tell us a little about increased taxes, liens, or no liens.
Right. Yeah. The taxes were actually part of that the HERO thing program. The liens or no liens, and that was where some of the real estate agents were saying, I took a listing, I heard, because I'm on the MLS, I watched some of the collaboration. My escrow was delayed. We're about to close the escrow, and they said there was a lien up because of the solar, so we had to stall the closing and stuff like that.
Okay.
What happens now today on most of the programs we have, there's not a lien. It's actually a UCC1, which is a Uniform Commercial Code thing. It's not even a major lien against the property. The only time that pops up is if they're behind. Then it says, hey, you're behind on this payment. That will pop up. Today's leases and even the purchase programs are all totally transferable. So it's really easy. And they used to say, oh, my person couldn't qualify for the lease on the solar, but they're qualifying for the house. Wait a minute. If you can afford to buy $1 million property, you can easily qualify to take over the lease payment for the energy.
It's interesting you mentioned that.
Sure.
We've had some properties where we've actually represented buyers and they've transferred the solar to them.
Right.
And the company will come back and say, well, I'm sorry, they don't qualify for them to be the transferee. I said, well, help me understand. How are they qualifying for a mortgage of $500,000 yet you don't want to qualify them or approve them for a lease program that you have in place for the next 20 years at, let's say, $40,000. I don't know what the number was, but let's just say that. And that didn't make sense. So many times we'd have to negotiate with the solar company to make exceptions, but it is possible. It's a little hard, but yeah, you can transfer that. But there are some programs that do have liens, maybe older properties or older solar panels that were installed maybe 5-10 years ago.
Yes.
And have liens against the property.
Right.
And oftentimes homeowners aren't aware of that. So it can become a little bit of a problem, but we can work through them. We can work through them and get you through it. So
yeah. And again, the one thing I didn't understand from a lender's point of view, we're going to allow this person to buy this home. Their energy bill is going to be half. Would it make it more affordable to own the home with half of an energy bill to make your mortgage payment?
Yeah,
right.
It kind of makes it. Yeah.
That's interesting. Well, thanks for talking about that. I know that liens are always a subject, a sore subject with some of the homeowners that want to sell, but certainly with the programs that are available now, they can transfer them.
Right.
But many times they do have to pay them off. I'm in a contract right now where it had to be paid off because it just wasn't transferable and it was an older system. But that isn't always the case. And in fact, I think it's even attractive to a buyer, saying, hey, you know what, this property has solar panels, a transfer fee. there's no transfer fee, but your monthly payment's going to be like $110. But over the life of what you're having the system, it's going to save you $200 to $300 a month on utility bills.
Yep.
And so they kind of see it as a plus. And then,
Yep.
Now with the advent of more electrical cars and having to plug in, charging overnight, there's
Right.
higher usage.
Right.
I think more and more people are open to solar. And as Ben would know, as a certified new home specialist, they have really no choice when it comes to solar now. They have to be installed, right?
Right. Yeah.
Ben, in terms of new construction, Ben, do people have options to lease, or can they buy it out?
Yeah, most builders give them the option to buy or lease.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So it just depends on what the homeowner wants to do.
Yeah, but it's like it's not negotiable. You have to get. It's like, okay, the next step is talking about your solar. What do you want to do? Like,
right. Because it's state mandated. I want to say, let's see, we're in 2022. I want to say in 2020 or 2018, it was a state mandate now that all new construction in California has to have solar.
Right.
So that's something that it's an additional either benefit or cost that homeowners or home buyers have to consider. But like Ben said, like there's no option. Like you have to have it. So
right. And it's really I mean, if you think you're buying a brand new home and you don't have an energy bill, basically, that's kind of a plus. It takes care of your HOA. The major thing we've been hearing though from new homeowners is that the builders are putting on the minimum amount of panels on the house. And sometimes the people move in there and they're saying, I'm still getting a bill. We'll talk about that true up bill, because they didn't know these guys were going to go crazy with 10 kids and electric on and everything else. So they only put the minimum panels required. And some of us companies are going out and adding panels on to help increase their coverage. Okay.
So what you're saying is sometimes a new construction isn't putting enough panels, or just putting the bare minimum.
They're putting on what they're mandated to do. They don't sit there, because every usage in each house is going to be different from each family that lives in it.
Depending on the usage of electronics and charging cars and like
good point.
You mentioned.
That's a great point.
So Robert, let's talk about you and I had a conversation a week ago about some of the important changes that are coming to solar. There isn't a definitive date yet, but the Public Utility Commission of California is being lobbied by the three big utility companies, which is Pacific Gas and Electric, Southern California Gas, and I believe there's one more the
big boy, SCG&E.
SCG&E. So tell us a little bit about some of those important changes that are coming soon that could affect the actual amount of savings that maybe homeowners can have by these changes that are coming effective. Tell us a little bit about that, and tell us why those changes are coming.
Well, you know what? That little video I did could actually suffice to kind of show in action why it's happening the way it is.
All right, I'll tell you what. Let me go ahead and introduce the video, and I'll play it.
Super.
And let's see it, and then we'll answer some questions and kind of go through it. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go ahead and play it.
Okay.
And these are some of the changes that are coming.
My newest solar client's house right here, and he's really excited about saving money every month going solar. The question I have is, how much would you like to save by going solar? How much would you like to save? If your answer is as much as possible, then I've got some breaking news for you. As we speak today, in the legislation in the Congress today, they're going to be deliberating. You're going to see this on the news today. The California Public Utility Commission and the three big utility companies want to change and lower the incentives that people that get solar will receive starting sometime in the spring or early summer. And the way this works is when people get solar today, they have a meter on their house, which was installed, these new meters were installed in most homes around 1996 by all the utility companies. These meters are designed to go backwards, and they're designed to go backwards specifically for homes that put solar on a house. Because what's happening is during the daytime, like right now, this meter is going backwards. This homeowner is receiving credits because he's putting energy into the grid. And at nighttime, the sun goes down, he's going to go the other way because he's taking some energy back from the grid. What happens is, at the end of the year, he gets a bill. You put this much in, you took this much out. For most homes that we design, you more than likely will have no bill, or you can even have a credit. So what's going to be happening here, probably in about 2 or 3 or 4 months, is they're going to change the credit value homeowners get. Rumors are it might even be 50% less. And the other hard one is they're talking about adding a monthly connection fee. So right now, folks that are getting solar are in what they call net metering 2.0. And right now, if they get in before this changes, they will be protected with what they call a grandfather clause. For at least the next 15 to 20 years, the people who get in solar right now, before the 3.0 changes, will be protected. So the bottom line is, if you really want to save the most money from going solar, now is a great time to let us find out if your home qualifies, if you got a good roof, and get you going so you can have a maximum amount of savings from going solar.
All right. Let me go ahead and remove
good.
the video here real quick.
Super.
And that did explain, pretty well as to what
the buzzword. The buzzword is NEM 3.0. They were supposed to vote on it twice, but enough people went up there protesting this thing. They're delaying it. So we got a bit more time. What I've heard from the lobbyist insiders is once they decide how much they're going to reduce the credit or how much they're going to add this solar tax on, there'll be a 120-day period for people to get in and get approved and be protected from that. And it's called that grandfather clause. So there's going to be a little bit of a, sure.
How long does it take? Let's say they decide this coming week. They have 120 days to get contracted. How long does it take for someone who wants to pursue solar to get it, number one, reviewed, approved, and then installed?
And permits and permission to operate and all that. I'd say an average of 2 to 2.5 months. I'd rather say it a little bit longer and be quicker than say, oh, I can do it in 30, 45 days.
Sure.
Because
well, I mean, we want to talk, we want to be reasonable, right? We want to give a reasonable expectation to our clients and to our audience that our viewers that it's going to take some time. So it may seem like 120 days is a lot, but if you think about it, if a lot of people start getting solar right away to beat that 120 days, you may not make it. So, honestly, I think it's important to, even if you are considering solar to save energy on your home, do it sooner rather than later, for sure.
Yeah, it's called this. If they're calling it, it's going to be the solar gold rush. People are going to be get in. Oh my gosh, here's the changes, and we can't double the amount of people we can put in permit process. It's not capable of handling that kind of rush. That's saying we're glad we got this little bit of a stall. We've stalled it twice, saying we know it's not going to get better. It's not going to get better than it is today.
So let me ask you a question. You mentioned in your video that the reduction in savings was going to be about 50% less. On average, what's the savings now to a homeowner? Like what's the amount that they're saving now?
Well, the way we design that is that, when a person comes to us, we look at their house, we look at their roof, we look at their available sun. Remember, not all homes qualify. I've actually had two people in almost a forested area with these huge trees. They had so much shade, it really, like saying, no vale la pena. It wasn't really worth it. There's some people that just doesn't work. We basically say, here's your roof. You got a great roof. Here's your current energy bill. And I asked them a couple of questions. Some people do what they call solar splurge. Once they get the solar on, they put the air on all the time. So it's called 100% offset. If we can offset your current usage by 100%, you should, at the end of the year, have no other charges from the utility company. If you go crazy and you put the air on, you throw an electric car on it, you're using more than you're putting in. At the end of the year, like I said, you get what they call a true-up bill. Once you go solar, your energy company sends you a monthly statement. They don't bill you till the end of the year. After that, they say you put this much in, that much out, and you overdid it, so you owe us a little bit of money on top of that, or you did fine, you put a lot of extra in, you get a credit back. So that's kind of how that works.
How much are they saving on average? Let's just say a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,400 square feet with your normal usage.
Yeah, the higher the bill, obviously the higher. If someone's in the 150 range, even then we get them down to maybe 95 or $100. If you're like at 400 or 500, you're saving $250, $200. The higher the bill, the more dramatic the savings are. So one of my very first clients, his bill was only $125. Retired lifeguard. I said, hey, I can get you down to $85. He goes, I'd rather spend $85 a month for clean energy than $125 for dirty energy. And it's about my grandkids anyway. I said, thank you.
Very well. Well, and if this NE 3.0 passes, or when it passes, because it's going to pass, they're going to approve it. It's just a matter of time.
Yep.
So at that point, then their reduction in savings will be half of what they're saving now.
There's what they're saying is, what they're telling people is that's really going to stop the people who have those lower bills. They're going to be so close to a push. The people who've got the big bills will still, there'll still be some savings. Won't be as good. But even if if your savings aren't as good, remember your payment's going to be fixed at least for the next 15 years. SDG&E, I always ask anybody, have you ever seen your utility bill stay the same or go down? Never.
Not at all. In fact, at the beginning of the year, my sister-in-law and I, we had a conversation, and I don't know if maybe Ben, I don't think Ben realized it because Ben has solar. Good job,
right?
Ben. She was telling me, Hector, my electric bill went up like almost 35%. Just one. Right? So the cost of energy is more. But I'm not sure if people caught that it's in the video or not, but I did. Tell me about a connection fee. What's that about?
Okay. So what they're going to be, they're actually calling it a connection fee, but they're also calling it a solar tax, because the utility companies are saying, hey, you're tied into our grid and you're not paying us for being connected. So it's a grid for being connected to the mama grid. So when the nighttime comes, you're still using it. And it's just a way of making these billion-dollar companies more money. Get it down to it.
And there's going to be no way around this. You're going to have to pay a connection fee, correct?
Yeah. The lobbyists are very powerful. They've got a lot of connections up there. So again, it's not going to get any better. That's the bottom line.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
So the next question is, who should consider solar, right?
I always say if you have a home with an energy bill, you should consider it. So it's almost like who doesn't have an energy bill, right? And it's amazing to me that when I look at the people lined up at Costco, 3 blocks long to save X amount of pennies on gas, I'd like to go to each of them and knock on their window and say, hey, you're lined up to save a few dollars here on gasoline. What about your energy bill at home? It's a way more savings and that kind of stuff. But anybody with it, again, remember, not all homes qualify. So it costs you nothing to see what you're capable of. And it really is going to be a great, advantage when you do sell your home. You got to be careful though, and we'll get into that a little bit about when agents list a property, what they say about the solar situation and the buyers. But to me, one of my very first clients, when I took him from 350 down to 1 something, he said, this is a no-brainer. Why isn't everybody doing this? I go, I don't know.
So you would consider that anyone that's spending at least $100 on their electric bill or more should at least check, right?
Well, the question is this: if their bill is $100 a month now, what's it going to be in 5 years?
Right.
What's it going to be in 10 years?
Yeah, because they just went up this one. I'm telling you, my sister-in-law said my bill went up 3 times, threefold from last year. So definitely. And then I know that one of our agents, Julio, he recently got an electric car, right? And that we're starting to see more and more often. And if people don't know this, I believe by the year 2035, we're supposed to be a zero emissions in the cars. So electrical cars and hybrid cars, guess what? They're here to stay. Right. And that's going to add more demand to your property and to your electric bill. Why? Because you're going to have to be plugging in not 1 car, not 2 cars, maybe 3 or 4 cars, depending on the size of your family. So again, a great consideration to consider getting solar panels if you're going to be increasing the amount of usage and getting an electric car, because a lot of people are getting away from fuel fossil cars because a couple of things. Number one is we know that 2035 is just on the horizon. And number 2 is look at the price of gas right now. We're paying upwards of $6 a gallon in some areas. And there's been a little bit of tick down, a couple cents here and there, but overall, I just put gas this morning in my car. It was $6.10 a gallon, So with that said, I think a lot of people are transitioning out of fossil fuel cars, and that's going to be an additional.
And that's one question we always ask our clients when we look at their current bill. Where do you think you're going to be going future-wise with this kind of stuff? And we say, are you thinking you can get an electric car? They go, oh, yes. We said, you know what? Do you have any idea how many miles you might be driving? We actually said, why don't we go ahead and put those extra panels on now and get you, instead of 100% offset, let's go to 125. Even though it's going to cost you a bit more, you don't need to go to the gas station anymore. What are you going to save there? Like you just said, filling up your car. And the only other one there too is about batteries. People ask about battery storage. And the main areas that we talk about battery storage is for people who, believe it or not, who might have somebody in the house who's on a medical condition with some sort of respiratory
Mm.
machines. You can put a battery in there, and when things go bad, you can click on a couple of panels to put on. The whole won't run the whole house, but I say pick out the 2 or 3 things you want to run. And usually, I want my
Yeah.
cerveza, my beer to be cold, and I want Nana to be alive upstairs running. That's the 2 things.
Right.
And the only
Right.
other game, the only other game
It's
they
interesting
play.
you mentioned that because I know there's a lot of companies, right, Ben? I think Tesla is putting batteries now in solar, and I think there's some
Yep.
big other companies, big Fortune 500 companies
Right.
that are also consider getting into the battery aspect of solar because
Yep.
there's going to be more demand on the grid, and there's also going to be like those emergency services that you
Yeah.
talked about.
And the other thing is there's a thing called time of use, TOU. And the energy companies, as brilliant as they are, they announced that, hey, we're going to have some higher charges between 4 o'clock in the afternoon and 9 in the evening. We're going to charge you 2 or 3 times more when nobody's home, right? When nobody's home between 4 and 9 o'clock. It's called time of use. So what some of these people are doing, they're getting the battery, filling that up in the morning, and when time of use comes, they click that on to offset the high triple charges they're getting.
That's
So
a
it's just
smart thing to do. I mean, that's
that's a
going to save you money.
that's a
And
chess
it's
game.
interesting that they chose 4 to 9 p.m. Why do you think that is? Because everyone's home at that
That's
time.
right. That's right. That's
You know,
right.
the TVs are on, the gaming
Yeah,
is on, the
that's right.
laptops are on,
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
the domestic appliances are on. You know, so yeah, they're not dumb. I mean, they know
No.
when to uptake that additional rate, right?
That's why I say don't get mad, get even. Go solar.
Right? Don't get mad,
Yeah.
get even, or get prepared. You know, if
That's
you're
right.
thinking about solar, get prepared.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Right?
a very unique situation where you can actually produce your own electricity. I mean, that's nothing else you can do to a house like that, but saying, hey, I'm my own grid. I got the roof.
For sure. So, what's the next topic that we need to cover here?
You can talk about $0 and 0 out of pocket.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Okay. And I'll mix that in with the financing options too. I guess one of the greatest things for me as a salesperson is truly to say there's no down and there's no out of pocket. They're always like, what's the catch? Kind of thing.
Right. What's the
And
catch? Please share with us.
Yeah. The catch is it's technology. It's just a technology-based infrastructure, and there's and it's basically coming up with something. It's almost like when I ask people, remember when you used to go to Blockbuster Video, you rent the videos on the weekend, you spent $25 for now on Netflix for $10 a month, you get blank. It's just the technology that's involved with it. Yeah, it's the technology involved. The other thing besides that is there are 3 ways to purchase it, even though there's no down. One is obviously cash. If you know this is your forever home, staying here the rest of my life, it's a great time to go cash. It's paid for. You have no energy bill. You're great. The other one is the purchase. And those where we have anywhere from 12 years, 0% loans to 20 to 25, whatever fits your monthly comfort level there for the financing. When you purchase and finance it, you qualify for the 26% federal tax incentive. There's 25% back on your taxes. That's the hard one to beat there. And the last one is for some people, this is fairly popular actually. I don't really want to buy anything. I want my financing. There's a thing called a PPA, a power purchase agreement. It's kind of like a lease, but I call it a partnership program. There are people out there that would love to take advantage of the taxes. So they say, hey, Carlos, you've got a great house. I'll tell you what, I'll pay for the solar. I'll put it on your house. I'll maintain it. I'll manage it. I'll warranty the whole thing. And then I'll sell you the electricity for a lot cheaper than you're paying the electric company. You buy it from me. I get the tax incentives. How's that? Shake hands, done deal. So that's how the lease works. And that's totally transferable too. They want the next person to keep making that lease payment. Why not? Sure. Take over. Keep making the payments. So those are the 3 great options: cash, financing, or the power purchase agreement, which is the lease. Makes it easy for it to fit almost every mode you're in. Because someone says, what if I'm thinking of selling in 4 or 5 years? Great. Then do the lease one. You can just transfer that over, and for 4 or 5 years, you save a lot of money, and your house will be more attractive when it gets on the market.
So one of the topics that always comes up with regards to solar is we're not techie, right? So the next question is, what warranties are available on these solar panels? Maintenance, replacement.
Right.
Like, what are you seeing in terms of Powur Solar?
That's probably the biggest boost that's happened in solar in the last 2 years is number one is the production guarantee and the warranties. They're third-party companies. These are billion-dollar companies that are in charge of the warranty. So in case the solar company, like Solar City or someone goes bankrupt and they're gone, you don't have to worry about it. It's a third party. They've increased their warranties to 30 years. The production warranty is interesting. They're guaranteeing that your panels will produce up to about 85 to 90% of their energy up to the 25, 30-year mark. They're still producing that much energy. Yep. And wherever they place the penetration on the roof, 30-year roof warranties on whatever they place penetration models. So it's a record high. And I think Powur is one of the few ones that goes to the 30-year mark on that. Totally transferable.
You mentioned a key word that kind of struck a bell for me. I've had some owners that have gone solar, where the solar company goes out and they get approved for the panels, and then they go up on the roof and they say, you know what, you need a whole brand new roof.
Right.
Is that something that Powur Solar does as well? And is it included in the purchase, or is that an up price?
The good news is, if you need a new roof, along with the solar, you can actually include the roof work in your 26% tax rebate. Because you had to have the roof fixed to put the solar on it. And when you show your tax man your solar bill, it includes a roof, but it's not differentiated. So it's just like, here's what it cost me to put my solar on. And the IRS is not going to come out and look and say, wait a minute, that part of the roof didn't have the solar on. You know,
so we would have to cover it.
I'm sorry, Ben?
So you're saying that the customer would have to cover it. It's not part of the warranty.
No. What'll happen is when they come out and do a site inspection, they'll look at the area of the roof that needs to be put solar on. If it looks like, why only fix this half? You might just give you an advice. If you're going to go through the hassle of having this part of the roof completely done to support the panels, you might go ahead and do the other side anyway. You know, some people are actually doing solar because they're going to get their roof the 26% tax rebate on it too. So it saves them 25% on the roof.
For sure. And typically what happens, Ben, is in my experience is they include it in the actual purchase price of the solar packet. So they might be told, hey, you're going to get a free roof, but the truth is it's included in their packet. Right. So, so you're talking about getting a 25, 30-year roof, you know, for the same cost of solar, then it's beneficial, and you get it done at the moment, like Robert mentioned, that sometimes it's the benefit.
Along with the tax rebate too. Tax incentive.
I have another question.
Sure.
Yeah. So another question for you, Robert. Like, can you talk about the warranties? Because I know on solar panel itself, because I know different companies offer different types of solar panels. Right.
Yeah. Well, again, regardless of the solar panel type, the warranties are still, ours are all 30-year warranties. We only are going to deal with panel companies that offer that sort of warranty on it. Production thing. So
awesome. That's good to know.
Because there's definitely, so people that are watching, they don't know, like when I did my research and we got our solar panel, I didn't know there's different actual types of solar panels. I thought everyone uses the same kind. Yeah. And that's very, very important, because some will like not last that long, you know. Right. The quality of the panels itself. So
luckily the panels are like all technology. I was telling somebody, I think it was like 13, 14 years ago, I was in real estate and I closed some big deals. I said, if I close these deals, I'm going to go to Paul's big screen TV and buy me one of those nice big plasma TVs, right? And I shopped and I found one. I said, why is this only $3,900? I was at Costco the other day for $400. So technology used to get better, faster, more efficient every year. And
more affordable too.
More affordable. That's the point. Yeah. It just keeps getting better.
It's good to know that the panels that Powur Solar uses are 30-year warranties. So you know, one of the questions that we're getting a lot right now with our clients that are thinking about selling that have solar on there, you know, a lot of them are hearing stories that it's difficult to sell, and maybe they can't pay it off, or they're in a situation where they need to transfer it. I think that obviously you talked a little bit about UCC1 filings. You talked about liens and no liens and different programs. I know for a fact that many of them can be transferred. So it's an easy process. Is the transfer, if let's say someone does a lease option with Powur Solar, is that something simple to do as well?
Yes, very simple to do. And the other things like I said, I'm on the Orange County Association of Realtors. I'm the affiliate. And I'm already being asked to create an advisory board. So one of the things we're talking about, when you list a home with seller, with a seller, first things to do, ask them to give you a copy of their energy bill. First thing, get a copy of it, see what it looks like. I've seen realtors say, new home for sale, blah, 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 full paid solar, no energy bill. You put the words no energy bill. Did you look at their true up? Do they have one? Be careful what you're saying, right? So get all that information up front. If you have any questions on the leasing hood, call me. I'd be happy to find out what's going on with it. I want
Awesome.
I want solar to be listed and sold very, very pleasantly, so to speak. Make it a great experience to have versus like, oh, well, here, what am I going to do about this? And also, if you have a buyer, you're putting an offer on a property, ask them, can I see a copy of the energy bill up front? Just like a home inspection, everything else. Let me look at it.
Yeah, many times, that's something that we advise, like Ben and Julio and myself, when we're on a contract that has solar and they say, solar is transfer. That's one of the first things that we ask for is let me see a statement. Let me see the transfer application. What's the actual savings and how much time is left on this lease contract or purchase contract? Because sometimes they might have it for 10 years and it was a 25-year lease and they only have 15 years left.
Right.
So it could be something they could consider. But yeah, absolutely ask for that information.
And the other critical thing that's going to happen when this NEM 3.0 kicks in is, let's say you list a house that had solar 13 years ago. Does that mean on that 15-year, he's only got 2 years left before his grandfather clause expires? Should you disclose to the new homeowner that, it's currently like this, but it will expire in 2 years and you could be subject to the new changes? Should that be disclosed?
Yeah.
Is that a document that's maybe being put together by maybe the CAR attorneys or maybe some boards? Because obviously for us as agents, I mean, that's not our expertise. We rely on people like yourself, and the CAR attorneys to be able to provide us the documents that we need to provide to these buyers as well.
That's what they're asking me to be involved in. I go back to real estate to where I live down here in San Clemente area. Back in the 90s, somebody bought a house. And they go, oh, you didn't tell me there's a nuclear plant 10 miles away. Why didn't you tell me that? So guess what's on the disclosure? Let you know that blank. So it's better to be proactive than reactive. The same thing here locally. The El Toro Marine Base was going to be converted to an airport. We had to warn people that there might be an airport and there might be airplanes flying over. It wasn't for sure. So we're thinking of the same way. Why not let people know, here's what you're buying a home with solar. Here's the age of it. This could happen. That way they don't come back and try to sue you. Why didn't you tell me my solar thing was going to change in 2 years? So we're trying to be more proactive.
That's awesome because, there are a lot of questions when it comes to solar, right, Ben? I mean, there's so many unknowns and it's good that, I'm actually excited that there's an advisory board that's going to help us kind of navigate through solar as time goes on. Because, like we said before, solar is here to stay. I mean, there are new homes and people are going to buy and sell homes, with solar, and we need to be able to advise our clients and give out the right disclosure. So thank you for that.
And one more thing is going to be added to that. As you know, being a realtor, there are home inspectors that come out, check your house. There's termite inspectors. I believe there's even a geo. If you're on the side of a hill, geological, you might want to have a little. Now there is a company in San Diego. They're going to be joining the Orange County. They do solar inspections. They'll actually come out and inspect the solar system.
That's really good to know because, like I said, we're selling houses with solar, so it would be advantageous for us to advise them to get a solar inspection.
So the question would be who's going to pay for it? The buyer or the seller, right?
Or split it.
You split it, yeah. Or that might be
as it stands right now. The contract for a purchase agreement says that all inspections are the responsibility of the buyer, whether it's plumbing, electrical, roof, sewage, camera lines, general inspection. Those are all under the responsibility of the buyer. And I would assume that that's probably going to stay the same. If the buyer wants to do an inspection, they can, but it's not an obligation of the seller to provide one. So just to kind of touch on that base. The other thing that more people are concerned about is like, what's the average cost to install, right? And I put here depends on kilowatt needs. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, a lot of it has to do with obviously how much energy you're using, the kilowatts. The other thing is install. Does that mean just so you're not talking about doing batteries or anything else? It also just gets down to your kilowatt needs. Probably we also talked about asking people if they're planning on getting an electric car, things like this, and adding more panels onto that. But I think it ranges anywhere from, I'd say, even as low as $15,000 to $20,000 up to 40 or 50. Just depends on the size. The bottom line, what I like to say is no matter what it costs, if we're not saving you money, we're not going to sell you the solar anyway. That's basically the bottom line.
And in closing, I think the best thing to do is if you are interested in solar and you're thinking about it, there's a website that you can go to. It's solarsavesmoney.net. You can start the process with regards to, getting a free analysis of what your current bill is. Maybe find out if your home is approved because of its environment.
Right.
And more importantly is they would do a study in terms of how much projected income or savings you would have
right.
if you go to solar. So it's a great website, gives you a lot of intricate information about solar. And more importantly, once you go there and you want to book your appointment, Robert's going to be our ambassador who's going to meet with you, who's going to talk to you. Maybe him and his staff and his teammates are going to review your needs, how much kilowatt usage you actually need. And you'll be able to make a decision as to whether or not, solar is for you.
Yep.
I like what Powur Solar is doing on a national level. Like Robert mentioned, they're already in 12 states and growing, or 19 states and growing, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So it looks like they're looking forward to expanding in other states,
and even other countries actually, like you guys,
and other countries. So if solar is definitely on the horizon for you and you're thinking about it, I know Ben and his family, they took advantage of solar. Ben, how much more or less have you guys been saving on your solar? Just curiosity.
We've saved it's $20, $30, $40.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, you guys have a small household, and moving forward, if there's a connection grid, if the cost of, for example, like my sister-in-law and many other homeowners, their cost of electricity bills have gone up through the roof. It may not seem like a lot right now because I know you just have it for less than a year, but over time, that's going to add up, I'm sure, right, Robert?
Yep, sure does. Yep.
And then it's going to be even more with the battery pack.
Right. And then it's and the cost is probably going to even be more once the NEM 3.0 passes.
Yep.
It's definitely going to increase in cost.
Yep.
You're going to have a connection fee. Your savings is going to be a lot less. So I think now is the time to really consider about the possibility of installing solar. See if it's a good fit for you guys.
Yep.
So if you guys are curious, visit solarsavesmoney.net. Let's book an appointment. You can reach out to Ben or myself in terms of additional questions, and we'll definitely put Robert in touch with you.
Super.
Robert, thank you so much. There's so many moving parts to solar that we couldn't have done it without you, and we look forward to our partnership together. So thanks for your time.
And in closing, as always, I say, Mother Earth sends you all a big hug. Thank you.
All right. Going green, right? I know Ben is a huge going green guy too.
That's right. All right. Super. Thanks again. Ben.
Thanks for joining us, you guys. I'm Hector Aguilar with Aguilar Realty Group. If you have any questions regarding the current market conditions, buying or selling, or even solar, please reach out to Ben, myself, or Julio. We'd love to sit with you. And remember, we're also on YouTube, so find us on YouTube, subscribe, hit the notification buttons, and we'll make sure to bring you more videos that are going to be valuable to you and your family and your household as well. Take care, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Enjoy. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.